here as well. So let's give two more minutes for the people, those who are looking forward to listen to this webinar, and we will be starting shortly. So how this webinar is going to go is we will start with the introduction, a bit about Digicul, and then we will cover after the introduction about Digicul, we will cover what is data analytics, what is data science, and the overall industry view, and and more in detail about what kind of profile the data analytics basically get, and also how is the strength industry is growing towards more of data, means how important it's becoming, the data analytics in the overall industry. So, and in the last, we will also cover about the digital program of data analytics, and in chat section, you can ask questions once this webinar is completed, and definitely we would like to answer as many of them about digital, about data analytics, and definitely many of you might be something new and might be confused. Okay, what career path we should choose, and definitely we will try to help you all, in this webinar. Okay, so let's wait for one more minute. Okay. Okay, so let's start, guys. So let's start with uh, how many of you are very new to this data analytics? Like, you have never coded anything ever in your life, and you want to be a data analytics. So those who want to raise hand. So in your menu, you can definitely raise a hand. I just want to, make this session interactive, and want to see, okay, means how many of you have ever coded anything, and how many of you are first coders. So I can see 8 people. So they are the those who are going to code uh, probably first time in their life. Okay. The reason why I asked this question is definitely we have a history in Digital that many students they coded their first program with Digital, and definitely they were able to start their career in the full stack development, and they have also joined our data analytics course. So start with the introduction with the Digital. So let me just share my screen and let me know if you guys can see that. Okay. So starting with the introduction. So Digital, as you can see that this is basically a combination of two words, digital plus Gurukul, right? And there is a story why we basically came up with this name, digital, and why Gurukul, right? Every one of you know about digital, right? There are many digital technology. You're using your mobile, right? That's a digital technology. When you basically go to ATM, that's a digital technology. We are all surrounded by digital technology, right? So we had an aim. Definitely, the digital is going to, and this is nothing, right? The role that the digital is going to play in the future is tremendous, right? And many of the jobs is going to cut. For example, if I share my experience, right, there are a lot of banks are closing their branches in the UK. And when I come back to India here, I know that many of the students are appearing for PO job, right? That may become obsolete in the future because there are not going to be any branches, right? Because everything is going to happen online, right? With the cyber security and everything is becoming so strong. So digital is going to play a major role in the future, and there is no doubt about this, right? So all our program is focused towards digital. But why Gurukul, right? Uh, I'm not sure how many of you know what a Gurukul is, right? Gurukul is an ancient education system in India, and we have taken certain things from the Gurukul concept, right? Uh, so in the Gurukul, the learning used to be more practical based, right? For example, if you are being taught about politics, right? So they used to give a case study that, okay, the king is in this situation, and let's have a group discussion, and whatever knowledge that the guru has given to us, let's utilize that and try to solve this case study using the knowledge that is being given by the guru. And the same thing we also try to bring in all our courses here, that it's okay. Means all our trainer are going to train you about the concept in the coding, about data analytics, right? All those things. But how you can solve a real problem, how you can utilize that knowledge that is being given in the class to solve some real problem. So all our courses, this is a major focus, right? About the practical implementation of the concept. And the second thing is the Gurukul used to be open to everyone. Like it may be a king, it may be a, like poor, who doesn't have any financial background. Why they were able to still have access to the all the education in the Gurukul? Because there was no payment that used to be taken, uh, in starting the education. They used to give a form of Guru Dakshina, right, at the end of the course. Okay. So, for example, the son of a king is able to, give a huge amount of money, and some were just able to give, like very small amount. Whatever whoever is capable of, they used to give. So we wanted also, uh, you know, make it accessible to everyone, right? The financial should not be a blockage in accessing the education. And that is the reason we started with a pay after placement approach in digital, right? How we can make this available to everyone, right? So that is the reason we created this digital back in 2016. So I will cover a journey of digital. In 2020, sorry, we started in June, and I think our first batch. This is the date of company formation, and we started our first batch in August, and in March we had our first placement after 7 months, right? Once we completed the first course, right? So, and by March 7th, we had 200 plus students enrolled. And in April, starting the placement in March, we were able to, within a month of our program, our first batch got 100% placement. And in October, this was about the full stack batch, but this data analytics, lot many of our recruiters were demanding, okay, man, do you teach the data analytics? Okay, you have, some student also in technology. We realized that there is a lot of demand in this side as well. And then, why not to create some successful course in this area as well and, fill that demand. Right now, we have 600 plus students studying with us, different courses, and we call it as a family, right? Because definitely, when we believe in trust, right? The trust is it's both sides. It's not one-sided, right? And it is the basis of all the good relationships, right? So that's why our family is growing, and definitely now I would basically like to introduce Prabhat, who is also at the leadership team in Digicol. So he will explain you about data analytics like the overview of it and everything about data analytics. So Prabhat, are you there?
Yeah. Hey, Manju. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here.
hi.
Hey.
So I will stop my screen and Prabhat, over to you. So you can start with introduction and yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Himanshu. Hi, everyone. My name is Prabhat Sharma. I am a part of Digicol, and I have been, into multiple software development positions in all my life, and I have worked with product-based companies like American Express and Oracle earlier in the capacity of a Python developer. So, anyways, like I'll share my screen, right? I have a presentation to show you guys. Please, if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand or maybe put in the chat box. Just 1 second. Okay. So just 1 second, guys. Okay. So as discussed, we wanted the topic to be data analytics with Python. And it is actually data analytics with Python, but we are going to cover very, very different aspects, which will make you understand more about what goes into data analytics and how you can get into the job of world of data science. Okay, so first of all, let us understand what data science is, because data analytics is actually a subset of data science, right? So this is the whole world of data, right? As we see it today, there is this thing called as data science, there is this thing called as machine learning, and there is this thing called as artificial intelligence, right? And as you can see from the figure, machine learning is more about algorithms and stuff like that, while data science is more about collection, preparation, and analysis of data. So the data science part is where your data analyst thing fits into. But these all three fields, like data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, all three are interconnected also, but they are also separate in a way, where most of the functionalities in one are not used or utilized in the other. So this is what is a small picture of what basically happens in the world of data science. But to explain you more what exactly is data science, we'll look into it. So as you can see from the figure, from the slide, data science is a complex study of large amount of data in company or organization's repository. Suppose there is a company, there is a banking company, there is a telecom company. They have huge amounts of data collected over hundreds of years, or last decade or 50 years or so, whatever it is. That data can be in the form of a structure, then that data can be unstructured, right? That data can be just simple emails employees sent to each other, or that data can be form of a structure like you see in Excel, right? If you study the data properly, you get valuable information about the businesses. Think about the COVID data, right? Think about basic COVID data which hospitals used to report during the time of COVID. When and how using that data, Indian scientists used to figure out, during the vaccination drive, which clusters should be vaccinated first and which clusters have got, COVID most in which clusters COVID has spread to maximum people. So they may not need that urgent vaccination as to people who have still not gotten COVID or not gotten vaccinated. So data science can do those things for you, right? Just having that understanding of data, and that's what data analysis does come somewhere into that. While with respect to machine learning, um, if you think about a normal software program, people who are doing programming, they can understand this. A normal software, you generally tell the computer what to do, right? Very specific instructions to your computer, like if else logic, while loops, and for loops and all those kind of things. But with machine learning, what you do is you feed the data to the system, and the machine itself learns, or your computer itself learns to behave in a certain manner, right? So machine learning is more about predicting something, changing your behavior according to the data. Since it is about changing your behavior according to the data, that means data science does play a role in machine learning. First, you basically create those data and those insights and those visualizations, and then you feed those visualizations or whatever logic you have created to your machine, so that now machine can understand and do the prediction. That is it about data science and machine learning. But if we talk about, so this is this is about data science and machine learning. If any one of you has a question, please raise your hand or put on the chat. I'll just take a look here. If anyone has a question, please ask me at this point of time, or else maybe let's go ahead and then I'll take the questions at last. Okay. Now the three most common roles in data world. Okay. What are the most common jobs you encounter? And you must have heard this for a lot of times in the last 2 years or 3 years, or whenever you started following these things. There are three main common job roles in data world. One is data scientist, one is data engineer, and one is data analyst, right? Data scientist is primarily tasked with building models using machine learning. Many of you may not know what models are, but understand this, they are mostly involved into the machine learning aspect. Your data scientists are mostly involved into the machine learning aspect. What does data engineer do? Whatever research is done in the whole data science world, that is put to production by with the help of the data engineer. Data engineers are mostly programmers who can do everything, right? And that is why the roles of data engineers are very much programming heavy. What does a data analyst do? So data analyst, again, the part you saw in the data science thing, you typically run queries in the new data to find, just 1 second, to find trends important for the organization and help prepare data for the data scientists. So data analysts prepare the data for the data scientists. They find the trends, they find the insights into the data, and then they give those insights and those trends and those visualizations, all the other things to the data scientists to implement that. Okay, three roles. Okay. Now, if you see this figure, what kind of skills are broken down for the three roles: data analyst, data scientist, and data engineer? What kind of skill level might be required? Okay, so if we see the role of a data engineer, the skill level, if we see the programming as a skill, for a data engineer, you need a lot of programming skills. As I told you guys, you need a lot of programming skills if you want to become a data engineer, but your programming skills can be average if you are a data analyst or a data scientist. They have to be at a certain level, but they can be average as well. With respect to machine learning, the data scientist must know machine learning wholeheartedly, right? The data scientists must be champions of machine learning. They must know every models and everything about machine learning well. But yes, the data analyst may not know much about machine learning. If they are given some kind of introduction, that works. They should know how these models work, but they don't have to work there, right? And a similar case with the data engineer, right? With respect to communication and visualization, visualization is the art of kind of projecting your data into graphs and pie charts and whatever fancy things about data you might have seen. Visualization and communication is very important for data analysts because they are the ones who are building the story around the data, right? So if you are building the story around the data, for example, if you pick up the last 5 years performance of Indian cricket team and you want to build a story that in Indian cricket team in test matches does not play well in swinging conditions, but they play well in, bouncy wickets or something like that. You need to be a very good storyteller. And to be a very good storyteller, you need to visualize your data well, present things in a good manner, as well as you have to have good communication skills. Whether you're speaking your local language, whether you're speaking in English, whether you're speaking in Hindi, communication does not mean always speaking good in English, but you have to be a good communicator in whatever local language you are communicating. Let's talk about the math and statistics sections. You can see that machine learning, data scientists need a lot of that. Data analysts do need that on an average level, right? The best practices, obviously best practices does not come so much into the field of data science and data analyst, but with respect to data engineers, because they will be coding a lot, they'll have to use the best practices. Right. And similarly, so basically the point here to make is, as a data analyst, you might not need a lot of programming skills. Average programming skills will do, beginner level machine learning stuff will do, but your communication has to be good, right? Your product knowledge has to be good, and your data exploration capabilities, like writing good queries on data, they should be exceptional, right? Over to the next slide. Again, just similar kind of a thing. What does a data scientist do, and what does a data analyst do? You can see, the background and the scope and the type of data, whatever it is. Generally, data analysts deal with the structured data only. That is the data which you've seen in Excels, or the data which you see in the databases, right? The structured data, right? And the tools which data scientists use might range from SAS, Python, R, TensorFlow, Hadoop, Spark, but on the terms of data analyst, you should know Excel well, you should know SQL well, you should know R or Python, you should know Tableau or Power BI or similar, those kind of things, those kind of tools which can basically which you can basically use to create the story around the data or the visualization around the data. Now, if you guys have any questions, again, I'll just take a look here if someone has asked a question or not. Okay, no one. Okay. Let's just take a look at what kind of jobs you can get as a data analyst. Since this is a webinar on data analytics, we are going to speak more about data analyst. I hope I have cleared the roles and responsibilities of the three kind of roles which there are in the data world. But just take a look at the job listings, which we found on Indeed. This some company in Hyderabad is hiring data analyst, right? And you see what kind of, just take a look at what kind of experience they are looking for, right? If you see they are looking on, experience with MySQL, they are looking on experience with Python, strong competency in data analysis, right? And strong presentation skills with excellent written or oral communication, right? Let's take a look at another job listing. This is NBFC Bank. They want good command over SQL. They want, just once again, there is a question, something. Career fresher is easy to get a data analyst role. Yes, Purnish. Okay, there are two questions. Mayukha, does an analyst have to learn coding? Yes, Mayukha, you'll have to learn coding. You have to be average at coding, right? You have to be average at coding, because see, career is not only about getting into a place, but you also have to think about where are you going to get ahead, right? So a simple example would be, can you get a job as a helper chef in a restaurant if you know how to cut onions? Yes, you can. But can you become a head chef of that restaurant if you only know how to cut onions? You will not, right? So you need to have those skills, right? If you want to progress well, but the coding at the data analyst level does not have to be, entry level does not have to be very good. Can a fresher is easy, Purnish? It's all about the interviews. If you go into an interview, which is most okay. So what I'll do is I'll answer these questions, once I finish my slides, right? Because there are so many questions. You guys can keep asking questions, right? And I'll answer. Okay. Just take a look at this. They're looking for command over SQL. They're looking for command over SQL. They're looking for experience in configuring analytics tools. These are the screenshots, right? We have not written these. These are screenshots taken from Indeed job listings. They're looking for experience in configuring analytics tools like Power BI, etc. This is a job listing in Vantech. It's a Chennai company. They are paying quite a good salary, like 1,25,000 per month. They are again saying strong SQL skill, right? They want ETL exposure if you have, but they want you to have a command over some programming language, and some data design or data modeling experience or exposure, right? So you can see SQL, data design, ETL, and Python, they're asking. Now, there are two very good job listings which we got. One was from Flipkart and one was from Myntra. You can see from Myntra, they are again looking for someone who is proficient in a skill. They should have basic understanding of R or Python, should be proficient in Excel, and knowledge of visualization tools like R Shiny or Tableau, which is obviously preferred, right? If you see orientation, past background is technology is preferred, not mandatory. That means even if you are coming from the non-tech background, this is going to work for you. They are not asking for a person to be from a coding background, right? Uh, Similarly, Flipkart, right? Product-based company, good company, pays a lot. Strong experience in SQL, strong experience in Excel, strong logical and analytical concepts in databases, schemas, dimension modeling. Again, the database and SQL part, basic understanding of Python, etc. Knowledge. These are good to have things, right? And there are multiple other soft skills which are, which are written there. So if you see, just take a look at it. This is the technology. This is the average, kind of a simplistic or summarized view of what kind of technologies are there in data job listings. Highest number is SQL, then followed by SQL, Excel, then followed by Tableau, and then Python, right? And then on the other end, there is C#, C++, Hive, MySQL, Teradata, whatever. So if anyone says that you need to study C# to get a job as a data analyst, they are lying. Don't believe in them. This is another graph which can tell you basically what is the average number of job listings contain SQL. So 0.53 in Indeed, 0.54 in Monster. These are the the number of data. This is basically the frequency of this keyword in the job listings for data analyst jobs, right? Again, SQL, Excel, Tableau, Python, the same kind of thing. Okay. So accordingly, these are the most important things which we can say: SQL, Excel, Tableau, Python. Instead of Tableau, there is Power BI sometimes, right? It is slowly being replaced by Power BI. It is the new thing in the data science world, right? Now, just take a look at this data analyst salaries, right? Good enough job, right? The average package in India for data analyst fresher is actually 5 lakhs per year. Average in India. In some cities like Bangalore, it is around 7. In Pune, around it is around 7. In Delhi, it is around 5, 5.5. And in some smaller cities, obviously like Indore or Jaipur, obviously these guys make lesser. So that is why the average. But in metro cities, mostly it goes around 6, 7, something like that, right? This is again taken from Glassdoor. We have not made it up. Okay. Let's take a look at what kind of money the different types of employers pay. Just 1 second. Take a look at Tata Consultancy Services. It's again taken from Glassdoor, right? It's an image. It's around the average package they pay to data analysts is like 5 lakhs. Accenture is like 5 lakhs. Deloitte is 6. Myntra is around 10. HSBC is around 8. These are some of the top employers. There are so many. Again, if you go to Glassdoor, you will find more than 30,000 listings, 30,000 employers who generally hire data analysts in India only. Okay, so this is some, employer was data analyst salaries. Let's take a look at what kind of progression you will have once you get a job as a data analyst. So suppose tomorrow you get selected as a data analyst. Now, what is the career progression now? So as a data analyst, you can become a senior business analyst if you move into more of the domain side, right? Suppose you have great communication skills and your boss wants you now to, now understand the business and deal with the clients and all, you will move into the senior business analyst category. You can also move towards data scientist if you learn more of machine learning algorithms, right? If you know basics of ML and if you can learn more ML, it will be very easy for you to move into data scientist. People will hire you from the role of a data analyst to data scientist inside your own organization rather than hiring an outside person who has done some course from a grad or whatever, right? Other than that, there is another category where you can move into senior data analyst role and then become a data scientist, or you become a lead data analyst after this, or you can move into product-based company as a data analyst, right? This is for the product-based company. So product-based companies obviously pay a lot more than the normal service-based companies. So this is your career progression, right? So If you don't know coding, this progression will become, definitely it will become a little too difficult for you. If you know coding well, obviously, if you see, the thing about any kind of work is, if you know more than your colleagues, you're going to progress. It's not about getting a job, it's about holding to that job, and it's about performing well also, right? And that can only be done if you know a lot of things. Okay. uh Still, all these things I told you about, still after all this, there's a huge demand, but still there is a less supply, right? Like in 2020 August, right, 93,000 jobs in data science were vacant, and 70% of these vacancies were for positions with less than 5 years of experience. That means you can understand, mostly the freshers or the people who want to get into entry level, they are not that good. Problem is not with the demand side, right? There is a huge demand. 93,000 jobs were vacant in August 2020, might be still, maybe 1.5 lakhs by the end of this year. So demand is not less, supply is less. Instead, even, there are organizations who are churning out courses like anything. Still they are not able to produce good data scientists or good data analysts, right? And when we tried figuring it out, what was the reason, uh, you know uh, these are the few things which we understood. you know uh, One, spending too much time on theory. As Indians, we are, like, you guys understand this, we have this innate capability of spending too much time on theory. Everyone wants to become a theory master, but no one wants to get their hands dirty. That is the biggest mistake we have been making all our life, and this is the biggest mistake aspiring data analysts or data scientists do. They spend too much time in theory, trying to code many algorithms from scratch, right? This is most about the data scientist stuff. They generally get into coding too many algorithms from scratch instead of using what is already there. That is a problem, right? Do not, if there are libraries which are doing that, use those libraries, because you're going to use those libraries, right? If you use those libraries, that means you will be more usable to a company rather than a guy who's trying to code everything from scratch. Jumping into advanced topics too quickly, right? Most of the people in engineering who have might have given exams like IIT and all after 12, they know, this is one of the mistakes people do. Jump into advanced topics, they give up early as possible. So don't jump into advanced topics, right? Having too much of a technical jargon in a resume, that is something different. Obviously, you need someone to mentor and guide you about your resume. Just by creating your resume, by looking, just by downloading a friend's resume and then copying that, it's not going to help. Your resume should showcase what kind of skills you have, and you need guidance and you need support with respect to that, right? uh, Overestimating the value of academic degrees. People overestimate it, right? Some institute is giving triple ITB degree. You think, oh, I'm getting triple ITB degree, data science master's program, this and that. It's not going to help, right? Like, it's not an actual, it's an academic degree, but still you're doing it part-time, right? We all know what kind of part-time value part-time degrees hold. Okay, searching too narrowly for jobs is, it's again for job search, right? Being unprepared to discuss project during the interviews. Most of the data science programs as we see today, they are not focused on projects. The projects are actually the end of the program, but projects should be during entire course of the program, because if they are not there, just by doing one project for 10 days, right? So suppose you are going into an interview, you have done a project for 10 days. That's great. You have done a project for 10 days, mastered your theory. Another guy comes into the interview who has basically worked for a startup, and done only projects and projects and projects and have coded 15 hours a day. Who do you think the interviewer is going to select? You, who has done a 10 days project, or the other guy who has worked 15 hours, literally bust his ass off for 6 months? Are they going to select that guy? Think about it, right? Only mastering the theory is not going to help. Underestimating the value of domain knowledge. If you have not worked on projects, you will never know what a domain is, right? If I haven't solved problem for the telecom industry, I will never know what telecom industry does, right? So domain knowledge only comes from doing projects. Neglecting communication skills, the most important part. right? Interviews are about explaining yourself to the other person, what you can do, what you can bring to the table. If you don't do this, no matter how much you know, you are bound to get rejected, right? And even if you get selected, you will get selected after 7 or 8 or 9 opportunities. That means even if the person is giving you 20 or 30% hike, or maybe they're giving you lesser package, you'll be happy to accept it. But when you are at the top of your game, you know how to play the game. That's what I wanted to say. So these are the things, these are the mistakes an aspiring data analyst can make. I hope that I have made that clear. How DigiCool can help you now, So all these things, all those data analyst jobs, this package, that package, all boils down to one thing. How can we help you now? The thing about our programs is we make you code from day one. From day one, we make you code and code and code, right? You become better. It does not mean that you have to be a expert programmer. No, we mostly work with beginners. We are expert in working with beginners, and we are also expert at working with someone who is not a beginner at an advanced level, but we also help them. But mostly we work with beginners, right? So we are an expert at that. We focus on projects since day one. That means you will start doing projects from the first day of or the first week of your program, right? That means you'll do bigger projects instead of those tiny 3-day, 4-day projects. You'll do bigger projects, maybe like a 3-week project, team project or something, where you will be given a data, you'll be given something to research upon. There will be a team working with you. The project will be bigger, right? The bigger the merrier. So ultimately you will understand more about the domains, and if you ever get a chance to speak to our alumni, they will tell you how much you gain once you start working on projects. We give you an environment where you'll be connected with your peers and mentors 24/7. DigiCool, as Himanshu said, it's not a course, right? We don't do courses. We provide a community. We provide an experience which is pretty similar to what Gurukuls did in the yesteryears. So we will provide you that kind of experience where you will basically feel connected to the whole ecosystem 24/7 till the time you are in the program and after you have done the program and been successful. We work on your communication skills and interview skills, and our projects give you the domain expertise required. That's all I had from my side. I'll answer a few questions and then I'll move on. Okay. Difference between good, Tushar. Thank you for explaining that. SQL, NoSQL, and MySQL. MySQL is an RDBMS, first of all, right? So SQL is kind of a framework which you can use in every RDBMS, and it now extends to Python also, Spark also, and all those kind of things. Yes, I'll start. Just one second. Okay. Can you different between full stack versus data analyst? So full stack developer is something else. Full stack developer basically involves someone who does web development, right? Codes. So suppose, I'll take the example of Facebook. If the website you see, that is done by full stack web developers, full stack developers, right? But the recommendations you get for friends, or the recommendations you get, for anything, or the recommendations you get like YouTube, the website you see is full stack. The data is saved, whatever is happening on the website, that is full stack. But the recommendations that you see, those algorithms are done by data scientists, and the data that is created for that is done by data analyst. The work of data analyst and data scientist is not seen, right? They are kind of the backstage players. There are so much opportunities. Piyush, I have already told you, jobs have been remaining vacant. That means there are enough opportunities. It's us to fill the gaps. It's upon us to fill those gaps. And I'm talking only about India. There are so many jobs around the world now. The world has gone remote since COVID. So there are so many jobs. Can diploma students are definitely eligible to. Definitely eligible, right? If you can prove your worth, right? If you can prove your worth, people will take you like anything, right? I must have told you this in one of the job listings. I told you, right? You saw that non-technical people are also, even if you're non-technical, you will be considered, right? Skill MySQL and NoSQL. Okay, great. Fee structure, fresher easy, data analyst role pass out. Yes, Punish, yeah, 100%, definitely, no problem with that. So to explain more, obviously I'll go back to Himanshu. Himanshu, I'm done with my presentation. You can start again. Himanshu, you there?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, Himanshu. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm stopping the sharing. You can now continue with the discussion.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, yeah. So thank you, Prabhat, for covering in detail. So, guys, I'm going to now cover a part how actually Digital is going to help you in filling this skill gap and basically in a right way. So let me present my screen. And after this presentation, then we will finally cover the question and answer about the same. Uh, Wait a minute. So yeah. Okay. So they now coming to how we are going to proceed is, like these are the three modes that we teach. Interactive online lectures. So the lecture that we provide is not recorded video. Basically, a lot of means what we have realized is that means like in Udemy, right? A lot of beginners basically struggle to get their doubts clear, and they stuck anywhere. So there is only a 3 to 4% chance of completion of the course. If you look at the whole data, right? Those who are attending the pre-recorded session, only 2 to 3% of the students are able to complete the whole course, right? And while definitely we have more than 50% rate of completion of the course, right? So when it comes to the online lecture, right? So that's why we have these interactive online lecture. It's not one-way communication. It is basically two-way. In student and teacher interact with each other, and they basically discuss on the topics, right? Uh, in case if someone miss a lecture, right? So all of the sessions are recorded. So you can refer to the recordings of the lecture, and you can again refer to okay what has been missed. So it is again unlike in the offline classes, right? If you do not attend any one particular lecture, right? So it becomes hard for you to connect to the next lecture because everything, especially in the coding, is basically one thing is connected to other, right? So that's how we basically avoid that okay, man, the continuous flow should be maintained in this. And the last thing, but hands-on assignments and project. Okay, so when we say project, it is group based, right? And it is more of a solving a practical problem. Okay. But at the same time, we also need to test, okay, how much you are able to understand the concept. Okay. So we have a mix of individual assignment and a group project. Okay. So that's how basically not only you learn the concept, the theory, okay, but also you do a lot of practice, right? I think as Prabhat had mentioned, one of the problem it, because of which the skill gap is there, it's the hands-on practice. So you will get to do a lot of hand-on practice individually and also with your team. And when you work as a team, right, you also enjoy, you build a network, and you also learn from each other, right? So we try to create that community of a student rather than just one-to-one communication, right? So that's basically how we manage the education. Coming to becoming a successful uh, maybe a coder, a data analyst, or any, you can apply this to any of the job, right? So these are the three things that you need to become as a successful coder or as a successful data analyst. One is the skill set. So what is skill? The skill is capability of basically doing something. Okay. So for example, plumbing is also a skill, right? If something is broken in your washroom, you call a plumber, right? And they are able to fix that, which you are not able to fix, right? The plumber have that skill. In a similar way, if an organization want to basically, they have a lot of data, but they are not able to basically get to a point. Okay, how can I, create some meaning out of this data, right? That is where the data analytics come from, right? You build a beautiful chart and graph to basically present that data in a more meaningful manner, right? So that is a skill set of, that is an ability to get the data and build those beautiful graphs and everything. That is a skill set. Tool set, in order to do this, in order to build a graph, in order to plot the data, you need, so they are already existing tools, right? Tableau is the tool, right? Power BI is a tool, right? There are already many tools are there. Knowing the right tool set, as the Prabhat covered in, okay, what are the tool set that are needed, the knowledge of which is needed, right, to become a successful data analyst, right? That's basically you need to have, okay? And third is again a mindset. So what is mindset? Mindset is about product thinking, knowledge. Okay, means you know that you are dealing with the finance, right? You need to understand that, okay, means I am basically going to present something which is going to be useful for the customer, right? So product thinking is also an important thing when we talk about and the data analyst, right? So these are the three combination that we these are the three areas where we focus in this particular course, right? Not only the skill set, but the right tool set and the right mindset of a data analyst, right? In order to launch a successful career as a data analyst, right? Step-by-step learning, we basically covers basics of the programming. It means, as Prabhat said, you doesn't need advanced knowledge of programming here. But one thing which is the most important skill of data analysis is basically writing the queries, right? I think in most of the job you have seen a good knowledge of SQL, right? We focus more on SQL knowledge, basic to advanced knowledge. We also cover Power BI, we cover Matplotlib. So these are the libraries basically and we are also going to teach you the basics of machine learning. And you will be working on projects which are close to real application of the concept that you are going to learn during this program. Okay, so we basically start with an onboarding. As a part of onboarding, you all are requested to give an online aptitude test on the digital website, and once you complete that online test, you score minimum 50% in that. Then after that, there is one interview, like interaction with our customer success. They basically check your communication skills. Once you go through that, then definitely we start with signing. That part I will come through. Okay, the last process of signing an ISA agreement, right? I told you that we work on the Guru Dakshina, but we make it legal because it's Kalyug, right? so. So in 0 month, you start the classroom-based learning. We in 4 months, we try to cover all the concepts. We give you small project as a team. We give you individual assignment. We cover all the concepts. And after 4 months, we give you a major project, right? More of what we are going to experience in the real world, right? And after 6 months, your placement starts. So this is how. Uh, it means I already talked about Digital, that we have 600 plus students. Many of them have recently joined the batch. Many of them are still learning with us. We have a history of placing 50 plus students in real companies. You can check our website of those placements. You can connect to our alumni on the LinkedIn. You can ask their experience, and like this is something means many means I have come across many institutes, those who try to take the things, but this is something real that we have achieved, and we are very proud of that, right? So we have a 95% plus success rate of our graduate, those who are able to complete the program and they are able to basically get a graduation, right? So this is the success rate that we have in terms of placement. Coming to fee side, uh, we do take registration fee, but this is something which is refundable, right? And why we do take this is what we call as a seriousness fee. We started with a zero upfront many years back, like almost one year back. But what we realized that when something which is given as free in the starting, people doesn't value that. Okay, so this is kind of a seriousness token that we request from the student to put. It is not something which is, you can pay it in two parts, one before the enrollment and after the enrollment, right? So we take this seriousness token from the student, which is again refundable if they are not able to get the job after completing the course. Uh, and uh, and the rest of the fee, right? The total fee is basically 2 lakh plus GST. But again, if you're joining in a group, that becomes less, right? That only need to be paid when you become capable of paying that, right? And that also need to be paid in the 2 years of EMI, right? So if you talk about, means if you land up of a job of 5 lakh, then you start getting somewhere around 35 to 40,000 rupees minimum, right? So it is again minimum per month. Then you will have to basically return somewhere around 8 to 9,000 out of that to Digicul for the 2 years, right? So that is how means the whole fee structure works. And now coming to, yeah, thank you. So don't worry about the placement. Definitely, that is not a problem because there is a huge demand supply gap. And the only thing is that you become right, you gain the right skills in the right way. That's very important. Okay. So now